Welcome to the Light Up Podcast. I am your host, Amy Wilkinson. I'm an intuitive guide and soul mentor. And through this podcast, you will receive conscious conversations, powerful downloads, and soul-stirring activations that will both support and inspire you to tap into your intuition, follow that higher calling, and live a life aligned with your soul. Because you are here to co-create a life rich in abundance, freedom, and deep joy, and to unleash who you truly came here to be. And we're here to help you discover how to access that. So let's dive on in and light up. Welcome back to Light Up. So happy that you are here. However this is finding you in your day. For me personally, I'm celebrating a little bit of space in the middle of the school holidays. Well, it's actually at the beginning of the school holidays, but I am celebrating space nonetheless. Maybe it feels like it's the middle of the school holidays, having 3 children home. So this is a little reprieve because I have my boys at soccer camp, and my daughter, I think, is possibly just arising from her slumber. It is 11 a.m. nonetheless, but she is a teenager, and this is, the life of a teenager on school holidays. So I am taking this space to share this episode, which is really, I want to start this episode with a question. And this is a question that feels relevant, but it also can stir up a bit in us. The reason that I'm asking this question is because I believe it gets to the foundation of what it is that we are, or the ways in which rather that we are limiting ourselves or holding ourselves back. This question I posed to my community, the Light Path Collective, which is my beautiful membership community of the most incredible women. And we meet each fortnight for teachings and learning around spirituality and manifestation and expansion. So this expansion journey that many of us are on, conscious awakening and up-leveling, and the things that we can bump up against on that path. So I am loving this portal. And I posed a question to the women that were in it last week, which was, how good are you willing to let life get? So I'm going to ask this question again, and I want this to see if you can just let this land on your heart. So just take it in for a moment. How good are you willing to let life get? And I want you to just sit with this for a moment and notice what comes up. What feelings, what sensations, maybe what stories, because all of this is really beautiful, really potent clues that give us this vital information of where we are sitting at in our beliefs and in our capacity to allow in the life that feels good, the life that we are deserving of having and claiming, that lights us up, the life that feels so aligned with our soul desires. And I want to unpack this a little bit more. I do a lot of work with clients around manifesting, but really before we can go into how we do that in a really easeful way, before we can do that work, we need to get to the foundations and see whether there's things that we need to excavate, things that we need to set and lay down as new foundation before we can move into the magic, before we can let the magic in. And this is a really key question, because I see so much of the time, and we can be not even aware of the subconscious beliefs and the programs that are running the show until we can start to do the work, and this is why having a coach and a mentor is so great, because it's just like lifting up the hood and shining a little torch, a little spotlight to go, what is that that's there? Because this may be why you're limiting yourself from really allowing in what is here for you, what is for your highest good, what is alignment with your soul. And this question does that. I believe it kind of cuts right through. Do you believe that you're deserving? Do you believe that you can have it all, whatever having it all means to you? Maybe that is feeling free and doing what you love and being financially supported and having healthy relationships and a healthy body and all of this, we limit ourselves. We have these energetic set points on around our abundance, around our pleasure, around our joy, and we kind of hit these glass ceilings, and we're just going to only allow ourselves to manifest in this certain amount of joy, freedom, pleasure, abundance, which just kind of keeps us creating a similar life that we have based on our personality and based on our patterns. We can think of this subconscious programming, which often rules the show. This is a lot of our creation comes from what we believe to be true. Life reflects that back to us, what we believe to be true and what we believe we deserve. And this is why getting into this work is really so important. So, our subconscious is like a computer program, and we need to be able to update it like you do in any computer, because so much of the time it's outdated. There's stories and beliefs that we're not even aware are playing out in the background, projecting the life as we see it, as we know it. But we get to choose, my friends. Like, we are the authors, we are the creators and the script writers. Manifestation is a co-creative, it's a collaborative process, practice that we can live and breathe, which calls towards us the things that are in alignment for us when we allow it. And this is the piece that I want to get to right here. When we allow it. So, what I see so much of the time is we go after our goals. We might have goals, a set of goals. We can write it out, we can be clear on it. I want this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to achieve this, or I'm going to work towards this. And our goals, in a way, we can feel a little bit separate. But there's a really important piece that I see that gets overlooked when it comes to manifestation. And this is about, what are you actually going to allow in? You can talk the talk, you can write all this out, and you can journal on it, you can put up your vision board. But what are you going to actually allow in? This is a piece of really the feminine essence, right? And what we allow in is really based upon what we believe we are deserving of receiving. So when I do this work with clients, I will often ask them, do you believe that you can create wealth for yourself, that you can set up this business, that you can attract in this love relationship? That, like, do you actually believe that you can do that? And it's so important that we get to the roots first and we see what is there. Are there some old weeds that we need to pull out? And are there some new seeds, new subconscious, new beliefs that we want to implant into the subconscious, and ones that look like, understanding and knowing that you are worthy just because you are living, just because you are here, that you are whole. So when we can then create or co-create from our wholeness, we realize that there is actually nothing that we are lacking. There is nothing that we are needing. Here's the thing with that. Everything, every possible thing that we could desire, and I'm going to get to desires in a moment because there can be a little bit of stigma attached to this word. But when there are things that we are desiring, it is because they are already here. They already exist beyond this three-dimensional reality. So bear with me. When we go beyond our 3D, right, and this is what we are living in, we live in a three-dimensional physical reality. When we go beyond our 3D, we enter into fourth or fifth dimensional frequency, which is beyond time and beyond space. So it's all about the now moment. We start to enter what's known as the quantum field, where all potentials lie, all possibilities already exist for you. So there is a potential for you to be a multimillionaire. There is a potential for you to be a successful, whatever it is, you fill in the blank. Having incredible health, being incredibly happy. Like, there are unlimited potentials that exist in this field of possibilities. Okay, so this is when we remember. We go to this place and we remember that we are not our thoughts, we are not our body, but we are a spiritual, energetic being that is having a physical experience, a human experience here. When we get beyond ourselves and our identity and the roles that we play and our physicality, we remember that we are vast and limitless, and that by us raising up our frequency and becoming into alignment with that which we desire, we're able to meet, we're able to land on the frequency of where those desires and dreams exist. So, what I want to talk about right now is this piece of desires, right? And what's the relationship that you have even with that word? If you have a desire in your heart, know that it is placed there for a reason, because you have the capacity, you have the mechanics, you have the potential to bring it into form, to live it. So this first step is really important to contemplate, right? Getting in touch with, what do you believe to be true? What are you allowing yourself to call in? Are you giving yourself this permission to claim your desires? And so, what exactly are our desires? And how often do we contemplate what it is that we desire? Because I believe that many of us hold ourselves back from this. And you might hold yourself back because you don't believe that you are worthy of having what you desire. You might hold yourself back because you think tapping into your desires is selfish and who am I to do this? You might avoid doing it because there's a part of you that believes that, what's the point? It's not going to happen at any rate. These are some of the things that you might bump up against when I ask you to start to make room for your desires. So, the word desires, the Latin word, actually means of the Father, from God, right? So, this is why I call them soul's desires, because I believe they are messages from our soul. They are clues, give us information about where soul is leading us, that we are here to follow. When we talk about alignment, which is a key practice of manifestation, it's about coming into line. Alignment is coming into line with what is meant for you. What is meant for you is what is planted in your heart as your desires. Desires come from the highest consciousness. And when desires come from the highest consciousness, from God, of the Father, it's a way in which we're being called to the higher resonance within us, which is a match for what is already ours. We already have access to everything that we desire. We don't have to go out and seek it. We don't have to go out and make it happen. We don't have to go out and strive and struggle to get there. No, that's the old way of operating. That's the old paradigm. Alignment is coming into resonance with your soul, with your highest self, letting go and trusting that that part of you, that wise aspect of you that is connected to all that is, knows the way. And this is not something that our ego or our mind can figure it out. In fact, for soul to really lead the way and for us to trust in that part of us, that ego part that believes that it's small and separate, that needs to go. That needs to die, because it is not the part of us that leads us forward into where we're heading, right? Into what is here for us. So when you have a desire, there is a knowing that you have the capacity for something more. You are being called to be a bigger vessel than what you are right now. This is an innate calling. We all have this within us. We wouldn't be here living at this time, which is a really key part of this ascension timeline, when we are being called to rise. We are being called to elevate our frequency, move into more of this 5-dimensional frequency of the new earth. We are all being called to that. So what I see is that we deny ourselves our desires far too often, for a number of different reasons, many of which we might not even be aware of. So You can think of your desires as clues, as messages, as like a siren calling you home. So when we want to come into alignment then with our desires, the question I would ask you is, what can you claim for yourself right now in terms of your desires? What can you intend? Because this is really powerful. We are such powerful beings. And when we use our throat chakra and we speak it and we claim it, it's like we are letting the universe know, this is what I am here for. This is what I am alignment for. So don't send me anything else other than that which is resonant of this, other than that which is for my highest good and my highest timeline. Supporting the women in the Light Path Collective on this, on walking our highest timeline, which is the timeline that is aligned with our soul that we have chosen. And we're not accepting anything less than that, because we know that we are worthy and deserving of having that and being that and living that as our true essence. So being audacious and aligning our desires with the capacity that our vessel came to the world to experience. How good are you willing to let life get? Let this be a sacred mantra that runs through your being. How good are you willing to let life get? Because we are here to continue to become a bigger vessel, a bigger conduit for the way that life wants to move through us. And life is only going to give us what we believe to be true. So how good are you willing to allow it to get? The other important piece here is about becoming aware then of your capacity to receive. We are ultimately here to receive life, to be that conduit, to be that vessel. And a lot of our programming has put us into the energy of continually doing, action, giving, and a lot of that energy going outside of ourselves. That is the masculine. And when it's a little bit imbalanced, it's going to be a lot of the force and a lot of the control. Right? We haven't utilized as much of our feminine essence. And in our feminine essence, we are here. It's literally what happens in our womb. We receive, right? And we each have that within us, men and women. But if we're not tapped into expanding our capacity to be a vessel to receive, then we are not going to allow in those desires. We're not going to allow in those dreams and goals that we are here to live and to experience, because we chose to be here right now. So looking at what are the ways in which you're allowing yourself or not allowing yourself to receive, receiving not just, let's say, guidance or finances or money or wealth, but are you letting yourself receive joy, play, pleasure? I was listening to this coach who was talking about with his clients how he gets them to set joy alarms. That's right, it was Preston Smiles, and he was getting his clients to set regular joy alarms throughout the day to remind them to tap into the joy. We forget how to receive joy. We forget how to play. We did it as kids, and this is a beautiful way, by the way, if you're interested in inner child work, such a beautiful way to heal our inner child wounds is just by making sure each day you are taking space, conscious space, to be in the joy vibration. Whew. Wait to see how that is going to shift your reality, how that is going to accelerate your manifestation, how that is going to deeply expand your capacity to receive. This is precisely why I have created a whole retreat on joy in November, because it is that almost the highest frequency that we can access. So if we want to get on the frequency of the desires, let's say it's to have more money, let's say it's to have an incredibly romantic, fulfilling soul relationship, or relationships in your life, or let's say it's to do what you love, to create work that is so fulfilling. All of that, remember, all of that exists, and you create that by your beingness, by who you are being. And because we are frequency beings, we are vibratory beings, The way that we get on the frequency of those desires, the way that we match up in alignment with those desires is by elevating our energy, our frequency. What does that? Feeling good, my friends. Letting the joy in, letting play in, letting pleasure in. How good can you let life get? Because we're so married to the hard that we think that in order to achieve success, we think that in order to achieve our goals, I have to work at it. It means I've got to do hard work and I've got to strive. And if I'm not putting in the hours, I'm not getting the results. It doesn't work like that. It does if you're still playing by the old rules and you're still stuck in the old paradigm. But the invitation in this podcast is to soften more into the feminine receptivity and look at how you can become a bigger vessel to receive by tapping into all of the things your soul wants you to receive. Our soul is seeking expansion. Our soul is seeking fulfillment, freedom, pleasure, joy. If you sit with your soul for a moment, if you really start to tap in and align with the essence of who you are, maybe it's through meditation, maybe it's through dance, music, being in the ocean, being in nature. You know, when you just get to that flow state where it feels like time evaporates, where it feels like your physicality and your identity evaporates and you just become one. You remember that you are a sum of the one. You remember that you are part of a whole. And when you are in that place, it feels good. Anything is possible. This is what I'm talking about. How can you receive that more on a daily basis? So life can just keep giving you then more of that. It's a really, really beautiful practice. And if you're interested in coming on my joy retreat, we're going to be talking about more of this. But just be aware that when we're moving towards joy, there is resistance. Why? Because when we really allow ourselves to be in the play and be in the pleasure and be in the freedom and be in the joy, there's no place for the ego there. Because the ego is, its default is around safety and security. So it wants to stay in control. It wants to know what is familiar, what is safe, what is unknown, or what is known rather, not unknown. So whilst there's a part of us that seeks out the light and seeks out joy and play and pleasure and fun, there's a really big part of us that resists it because it's scary, because it's unknown, because we're so used to thinking we have to have it all our shit together and all sorted out. So we meet the resistance though. We meet it, and we meet it with love, and we meet it with tenderness, because resistance is part of the pathway, and it just shows us that we are expanding. It just shows us that we're on the precipice of something new, which is exciting. Okay, so looking at how to become a bigger vessel to receive that which is in alignment with you, your desires. This is the law of receptivity. And remember, everything that we desire already exists. All the abundance, all the potential. It's already here. We've just got to choose. We've just got to tune our signal, our radio station. It's like music. It's all the music is playing in the world. It's playing. But we get to receive. We get to choose the dial that we're going to turn to. You get to tune your receiver. And that is going to determine what you are letting in for yourself, what you are bringing in to your life. So in order to allow more expansion into your life, you have to be willing to receive. And I want to leave you with that. But I want to also bring you back to this question that I began with. How good are you willing to let life get? And if you resonate with this, turn off the podcast at the end of this episode, wait right till the end, take out a piece of paper and a pen and write it down. Because this is your time to claim it and to be bold and audacious in what you are willing to claim. Because the universe, life so wants you to thrive. And the conditions are set for you to be able to do that. And also to know that in your thriving, it takes nothing from anybody else. It actually gives more to everybody else. If you look at a tree in the forest, in the rainforest, big, sturdy, abundant tree that is just continuing to thrive, in its thriving, it is not taking anything from the space around it. In fact, it is giving life. It is giving more life and inspiring everything else around it. That's how we work as well. So it is your responsibility to continue to allow yourself to thrive, to allow yourself to tap into your desires, to allow yourself to claim what you are here to receive. I really hope this helps. If this episode resonates with you, I would love for you to share it. Or give us a follow if you're listening to this on Spotify, press the follow button. Or if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, I'd love it if you could subscribe, share the episode. Also feel free to jump into my Instagram, Amy_the_light_place. And I would love for you to drop into my DMs and let me know how you found this episode, and we can continue the conversation. If you want to know more about exploring this practice of manifestation, we are looking more at this in Light Path Collective. So make sure I'll put the info in the show notes. If you join before the end of the month, you get 2 weeks free in the membership. It is so cool. We're doing some beautiful work there. This is all about supporting your expansion journey, which is so cool. Also, my Joy Retreat in November. Spaces are filling up, but there are still some rooms available. It is going to be so delicious. This is 3 nights in the Tweed Valley at the beautiful Stonehill Estate. The most glorious catered meals that are just mind-blowing, body-blowing, incredible, as well as the amazing practices like sound healing and ice bath therapy and yoga and meditation. It's delicious and delightful, and it is going to raise your frequency higher than it ever has been before. I can promise you that. Thank you for tuning in. Have the most beautiful day, and I will be back soon. Much love.